Number 10, Tom Cruise. Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise may seem like they have a lot in common at first glance, but they couldn't be more at odds with each other. Yet, allegedly, they have been feuding for 25 years, and it all started in 1994's Interview with a Vampire. The hit horror movie where both actors had starring roles really ignited their resentment for one another, and even though the film was nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe upon its release, Brad said that he was miserable during the entire filming, and that Tom being there certainly didn't help. And when asked about his co-star in an interview, Brad did not bother to hold back his feelings at all. Quote, "He bugged me. There came a point during filming when I started really resenting him. He's North Pole, I'm South. He's always coming at you with a handshake, whereas I may bump into you. There was this underlying competition that got in the way of any real conversation." Fast forward to 2009, when both actors were starring in World War II dramas, Brad in the very successful Inglourious Basterds and Tom Cruise in Valkyrie, which was a critical flop. So much so that Brad even called Valkyrie a ridiculous movie, which goes to show you that the rivalry was still there. Number 9, Marion Cotillard. In 2016, Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard were co-stars in a film called Allied, which is a Second World War romantic drama where Brad played Max, a handsome intelligence agent who has an affair with a French resistance fighter called Marianne. As good as the film might have been, it was certainly overshadowed by the rumors that plagued the set, in particular the closeness between Brad and his leading lady. In fact, a source close to Brad and Angelina at the time claimed that the actress was so jealous of Marion that she refused to meet with the French star after meeting her on the set of the film, telling the Daily Mail, quote, "Angelina completely ignored Marion on the set, and when Marion tried to talk to her, she just looked away. Marion was devastated. Here she is thinking she's going to meet this great UN ambassador, and instead Angelina refuses to speak to the woman because of her own jealousy." In fact, Angelina reportedly hired a private investigator to watch the two actors on set and scout out a possible affair. And although none of this was Marion's fault, it's unlikely that Brad, who's now dating again, would work with the French actress again, considering how much scandal it brought to his own marriage with Angelina. Number 8, Harrison Ford. Ford and Pitt both starred in 1997's The Devil's Own, which had reportedly faced endless problems during production. One of the biggest being that allegedly the two leads didn't get along. Conflict off the screen erupted when Pitt told Newsweek magazine that the film was, quote, "the most irresponsible bit of filmmaking, if you can call it that I've ever seen. I couldn't believe it." Reports surfaced that the two co-stars disagreed on which character should be at the center of the film, but the alleged feud between Ford and Pitt may have just been an argument over the script, as Larry Gordon, the producer of Devil's Own, came out saying, "I never saw two men not getting along. The discussions were over the script, and every movie is a work in progress." And even Indiana Jones star himself didn't seem too upset by the comments, and even suggested that Brad simply went on a rant about the film and didn't realize that he was going to be quoted throwing it under the bus. But Ford made it clear that the only thing he didn't appreciate was the fact that people were asking more questions about the working relationship between the two actors rather than the film itself. Number 7, Shia LaBeouf. Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf starred in the 2014 war film Fury. While the movie received glowing reviews from both critics and fans, reportedly the two actors didn't get along when filming the gritty action film. Shia LaBeouf has a reputation in Hollywood as being extremely difficult to work with, and that was true with Fury as well. Reportedly, Shia was so committed to doing justice to the character of Boyd Swan that he had his front tooth removed and went for days without bathing or showering. Additionally, reports claim that Shia didn't believe that the makeup used for his facial scarring was realistic enough, so he actually cut his own face to make his war wounds look more realistic. And then during filming, he would occasionally open the wounds to keep them looking more fresh and authentic. It's clear that he was determined to make an impression, but this allegedly rubbed Brad Pitt the wrong way. And according to Ranker, Pitt was disappointed by Shia's energy on set of their film and believed that the two of them have very different styles of working, and it just wasn't mixing well on a personal level, as he allegedly felt uncomfortable seeing how much torture Shia would put himself through just to get results. Number 6, Jennifer Aniston. The story that dominated the tabloids in the 2000s was just as scandalous as it was made out to be. Jen and Brad got married in 2000 in a lavish Malibu wedding, and things were perfect for the Hollywood it couple until they suddenly announced their divorce in 2005. alive. What happened exactly? Well, long story short is that Brad met Angelina for the first time on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and Brad famously embarked on a jet-setting romance with her, despite the fact that he was still married to Jennifer. Although all parties denied that there was infidelity involved, Angelina couldn't help but gush to the papers about her new romance. And Jennifer told Vogue in 2008 that she had in fact read some of those interviews, and according to her, quote, "There was stuff printed in there that was definitely from a time when I was unaware that it was happening, and I felt those details were a little inappropriate to discuss." That stuff about how she couldn't wait to get to work every day. Not cool. Although they might be on good terms now, there's certainly a reason that Brad avoided having Jennifer in any of his films, and it probably has a lot to do with their past. Number 5, Mark Canton. Harrison Ford wasn't the only person that Brad Pitt bumped heads with during the filming of 1997's The Devil's Own. In fact, not long after the filming wrapped, news also surfaced that Pitt had wanted out of the film that he felt was doomed. But it was Mark Canton, the head of Columbia Pictures, that threatened him with a $63 million lawsuit if he went through with the walkout. So of course Pitt was kind of trapped, but he let his frustration out in that controversial interview in Newsweek magazine ahead of the film's release. Apart from calling the movie the most irresponsible bit of filmmaking, he said, quote, "I don't know why anyone would want to continue making that movie. We had nothing. The movie was the complete victim of this drowning studio head who said, 'I don't care, we're making it. I don't care what you have, shoot something.'" If that wasn't enough, Pitt even said that they had no script, and it was a lot of pressure on himself and Harrison Ford just to make it all up as they went along. So clearly he resents Canton for putting him in that kind of situation in the first place. Number 4, Odile Soudant. The famous French designer who was once a friend or acquaintance of Brad Pitt's ended up suing the couple in 2017 over the lighting in their Chateau Miraval home. The Guardian reported that Soudant claimed that the former couple simply stopped paying for her work that she did on 4 buildings of their 40-room mansion in France, while the designer insisted that she had no written contract specifically with Pitt or Jolie. She claims that he gave her the green light to do whatever she wanted in order to make their home beautiful. She took him literally at his word and hired architects, designers, lighting and acoustic specialists, and even an optical engineer to calculate the angle of the sun's rays on the chateau. The trouble started growing when Soudant noticed that Pitt and Jolie stopped paying for her estimated $29 million project after her billings reached approximately $6 million. And Pitt emailed her saying, "I don't know how things happen in France, but in the United States, friends don't attack friends. I've been nothing but a fan of your work. Do not attack. Let's finish the project and be proud of it." But by August of 2017, the former couple were ordered to pay her roughly $674,000, including about $71,000 for damaging her reputation. Number 3, Michael Madsen. In 1991, Pitt and Michael Madsen both appeared in the 90s feminist classic Thelma and Louise, and right away the two seemed to butt heads in a major way, and Madsen made no secret of how much he dislikes Pitt, but the beef between the actors goes way deeper than just trouble on the set of the film. In fact, they have both worked with along. So clearly he resents Canton for putting him in that kind of situation in the first place. Number 2, Mark Forster. The fact that World War Z managed to do okay at the box office is literally a miracle when you consider how massive the feud was between its star Brad Pitt and its director Mark Forster, making it one of the most infamously troubled shoots of any blockbuster from the last decade. Pitt starred as a UN worker Jerry Lane who searches the globe for information that can stop the zombie outbreak that is bringing down nations. But on the set was total chaos. Vulture reported that Pitt eventually stopped speaking altogether to Forster, and that the director's notes for him were being given through a rotation of 3 different production members. That's right, they hated each other so much that they couldn't even speak to each other face to face. But the situation was further complicated by Pitt's status as a producer, giving him authority to challenge Forster's creative calls and causing the post-production process to be dragged out by their conflicting visions. And when the studio chiefs ordered reshoots of the film, the apparent breakdown in the duo's relationship just made that progress extremely problematic. And coming in at number 1, Angelina Jolie. They were once Hollywood's glittering power couple, but for the last 5.5 years, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt have been very publicly airing out their dirty laundry in one of the messiest and most expensive divorce battles of all all time. It was a shock to the world when the Tomb Raider actress Angelina Jolie filed for divorce from Pitt in September of 2016, just 2 years after they wed and 12 years into their partnership. Citing irreconcilable differences, Angelina requested sole physical custody of their 6 children, and the following month, she made a threat to take the children abroad despite a renegotiated custody agreement. The actress even took a swipe at him in Harper's Bazaar, saying, "I would love to live abroad and will do so as soon as my children are 18, but right now I'm having to base where their father chooses to live." In fact, it was recently reported that Brad is suing Angelina for allegedly secretly selling the couple's $116 million winery just to spite him. Although the once golden couple worked together on the iconic spy movie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it's unlikely these two will ever share the big screen ever again.
Starting off our list at number 10 is Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones. It's no secret that Jim Carrey has a larger-than-life personality, and he appears to have a heart of gold, which would make him a hard man to hate, or so you would think. But apparently one of his co-stars, Tommy Lee Jones, wasn't a fan of his goofy behavior. It was said that when they filmed the 1995 Batman Forever movie, there was a lot of tension on set to a point where they didn't want to shoot their scenes together. Jim spoke about the feud on the Howard Stern show back in 2014 and said that there was an encounter in a restaurant during filming when Tommy let him know how he really felt. Jim told the story saying, "The blood drained from his face in such a way that I realized that I had become the face of his pain. And he told me, 'I hate you. I really don't like you. I cannot sanction your buffoonery.'" He went on to say that Tommy didn't want to work with him at that point, but that he wished him the best, seeing as the part does require them to be in some scenes together. So they either toughed it out or filmed them separately. Either way, we couldn't tell, so the editors must have done a really good job. In our next spot at number 9 is Emma Watson and Channing Tatum. Both stars made appearances in Seth Rogen's comedy called This Is the End. The movie was filled with stars, and these two stars had cameos that originally overlapped in the script. Near the end of the movie, Channing shows up in a gimp mask acting as a sex toy of Danny McBride. Okay. Apparently Emma Watson was supposed to be in the scene too, but when she saw what was happening, she ended up walking off set and calling her agent. In the scene, Channing starts dancing in a thong, obviously Magic Mike, which is when Emma refused to continue filming the scene with him. One of the extras in the scene said they all knew that he was going to be stripping in a thong, as it said so in their script, but that his behavior was just too raunchy for her. James Franco, who's close friends with Seth, did an interview in 2013 and said, I quote, "This actress, I won't say who, but she had a smaller role in the film, walked off the movie in the middle of a scene. What was going around her was, I guess, too extreme for her, and she said, yeah, I've gotta leave." You're not fooling anyone, James. We know that you were talking about Emma. Sliding into the number 8 spot is Ryan Reynolds and Wesley Snipes. You've probably all heard the horror stories by now of what it was like to work with Snipes on the set of Blade Trinity. If you haven't, to sum it up, he'd smoke weed in his trailer all day, tried to literally strangle the director, and then after the altercation, only communicated with the director through post-it notes. Sounds like a ray of sunshine. In 1998, Snipes took on the role of Blade and co-starred alongside Ryan Reynolds. To no surprise, it was reported that Ryan would often joke around, improvise, and ad-lib some of his jokes while on set. Snipes couldn't take it, and apparently he would only come to set for his close-up scenes with Ryan, and everything else was filmed with his stand-in for Ryan. Although most people involved in the movie have since come forward saying that it wasn't a pleasant experience to film with Snipes anyways, so the feeling may have been mutual. And at number 6 is Val Kilmer and Tom Sizemore. The two actors starred together in the 2000 sci-fi thriller called Red Planet. The two of them already had previous history for feuding on set, but regardless, they teamed up for another movie. Probably not the best idea. However, people working on the film and other cast members say that they could tell the two actors were ticking time bombs on set. Reports say that Tom requested for his elliptical machine to be shipped to their filming location, and that apparently irritated Kilmer. From there, Val started to complain about his co-star's special treatment and brought up their salary differences. The director started making comments to them saying that they are not allowed to hit each other in the face, trying to make light of it. But nothing could stop the fight from happening that everyone saw coming. The two men got into an altercation and Tom punched him in the chest instead of the face. So I guess that's a good thing. Filming then got difficult because the two of them didn't want to work together anymore. Turns out they are friendly with each other now, but they still think it's best that they don't fly off to space together anytime soon. Halfway through the list, at number 5 is Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton. This one you would never be able to tell by watching the movie because it's actually what happened after the movie. The two of them teamed up for the iconic disaster movie Twister, which is still one of the biggest hits in modern disaster movies. It's a classic. In the 1996 movie, a love story was told about two divorced meteorologists, which was played by Helen and Bill. Their acting and chemistry in the movie was totally believable, but apparently when the camera wasn't wasn't rolling, the two of them did not get along. Helen ended up saying that she hated the experience altogether and told Huffington Post that it was a nightmare. Despite not liking Bill, she was professional about it and filmed her scenes up until they decided to make a ride based after the movie. Universal Studios created Twister Ride It Out, which was in Orlando for 17 years. At the beginning of the ride, scenes played of Helen and Bill who would warn you about the power of the wind and do fun little bits together. Turns out, it actually was not done together. The two of them refused to film together, and it was filmed separately, which is why you would see it playing on two different screens. They would acknowledge each other as if they filmed it together, but they didn't at all. Here we are at number 4 with Julia Roberts and Nick Nolte. The 1994 movie I Love Trouble wasn't reviewed as the best rom-com of all time, and it might be because the two lovers had a lot of tension between them when filming. Multiple sources who worked on the movie told Los Angeles Times that the two co-stars could not stand one another. One person said, "The discord was so intense the two played more stand-ins than to each other. Their characters in the movie are actually very competitive, and apparently they both went to great lengths to insult and irritate each other throughout the filming process. It got to a point where the two of them refused to appear in the same frame together. So stand-ins were hired in those scenes to interact with the stars." After filming wrapped, Julia told the New York Times, I quote, "Nick could be charming and nice, but he's also completely disgusting." Nick responded through an interview with The Atlantic saying, "It's not nice to call someone disgusting, but she's not a nice person. Everyone knows that." Damn, this one seems a little bit intense. Alright guys, we are at number 3 with Lena Headey and Jerome Flynn. The pair used to get along to a point where they were actually dating. However, they went through a pretty bitter breakup in 2003, which apparently has not been forgotten. X marks the spot for the two of them, who worked together on Game of Thrones after the breakup. Turns out the two of them never actually shared any screen time together besides one brief scene in season 3. According to the Telegraph, after the ugly split, they refused to be in the same room together, which you can imagine would make filming a complete nightmare. A source told the paper, "Jerome and Lena aren't on speaking terms anymore, and they are never in the same room at the same time. It's a pity because they appeared to have patched things up for a while, but now the word is that they should be kept apart at all costs." This meant that the two characters have never exchanged a word on the show and have only been in the same shot once in the scene where they didn't even look at each other. In spot number 2 is Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams. This one actually really surprised me, I'm not gonna lie. I loved them together in The Notebook. So cute. If you've seen it, there is no way you could forget the beautiful love story these two stars acted out. They had incredible on-screen chemistry, but apparently in the beginning, their off-screen relationship was a toxic one. The director, Nick Cassavetes, told VH1 the story of how Ryan could not stand working with Rachel at first. He said, "Maybe I'm not supposed to tell this story, but they were really not getting along one day on set. Really not. Ryan was doing a scene with Rachel and says, 'Would you take her out of here and bring in another actor to read off camera with me?' I said, 'What?' And he says, 'I can't do it with her. I'm just not getting anything from this.'" Apparently things got so bad that he even asked to shoot his intimate scenes with a stand-in actress. Turns out though, they were able to overcome their differences. So much so that they ended up dating in real life. What? You go from not wanting to do scenes together to dating? I don't get it. Taking over the number 1 spot on our list is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Vin Diesel. Their characters Dominic Toretto and Luke Hobbs first met in Fast 5, where they were on opposite sides of each other. We later learned that the animosity between their characters actually went beyond the screen. Haha. Beyond the screen. While filming the 8th movie of the franchise, The Rock posted on social media about dealing with a candy ass on set. Fans immediately knew which co-star he was talking about, since rumors were already going around that these two actors did not like each other. Johnson ended up speaking about it during an interview with Rolling Stone, saying, I quote, "Vin and I had a few discussions, including an important face-to-face in my trailer. And what I came to realize is that we have a fundamental difference in philosophies on how we approach movie making and collaborating. It took me some time, but I'm grateful for the clarity, whether we work together again or not." Turns out they had a lot of problems when it came to filming their scenes together, and oftentimes stand-ins were requested. Honestly, all these stand-in actors are probably just thrilled that these actors all hate each other. Like, what a pretty cool job that would. Just stand here and let this celebrity talk to you. Starting off our list at number 10 is Lindsay Lohan. The actress refused to kiss Charlie Sheen when filming Scary Movie 5. If you've seen the movie, you might be thinking, Jocelyn, they did kiss. Get your facts straight? Well, here are the real facts. Turns out it wasn't actually Lindsay that you see kissing Charlie Sheen, it was actually her body double. The actress opened up and said that from the time she signed on for the movie, she made it clear that she didn't want to kiss the actor because she had concerns about his wild partying history. But the producers didn't even attempt to change the script until after filming had already begun. Maybe they thought that they would just change her mind by then? Who knows, but by the time it came down to filming the kissing scene, she was still refusing to do so. Eventually, a body double was hired to fill in for some of the kissing scenes, and some of the other ones were completely taken out. When Charlie was asked about it, he said he had no issue with Lindsay's requests. Well, good. No hard feelings then. At number 9, we have Denzel Washington, who refused to kiss his co-star Julia Roberts in The Pelican Brief. There are probably tons of people who would have jumped at the opportunity to lock lips with Julia Roberts. I mean, the actress has been named the world's most beautiful woman 5 different times. However, Denzel Washington apparently didn't have much interest in locking lips with her, so he opted out of their kissing scene in the 1993 film. He reportedly decided not to film the scene with her because he didn't want to play into Hollywood's biased beauty ideals. A writer for Newsweek and Daily Beast, Allison Samuels, talked to him about his decision in her 2007 book. During her interview with him, he said, "Black women are not often seen as objects of desire on film, and they have always been my core audience." He went on to say that the kiss between him and Julia would give into the world's standards, and he just refused to do that. Taking over our number 8 spot is Will Smith, who refused to kiss his unnamed co-star in the movie 6 Degrees of Separation. The 1993 movie was inspired by the real-life story of David Hampton. Will Smith took on the lead role in the movie, and his character was gay, which is what caused a lot of controversy. According to The Independent, and I quote, "Smith enraged his director when he refused to perform a passionate male-on-male kiss facing the camera." Apparently, the actor says he sought out advice from another actor, Denzel Washington himself, who told him, "Don't be kissing no man." Smith continued to insist that the scene be shot from behind so that he could fake the scene. As time went on, the actor has come forward and said he regrets that decision. He told Entertainment Weekly that his refusal to perform the kiss was, and I quote, "very immature on my part. I wasn't emotionally stable enough to artistically commit to that aspect of the film." What do you guys think? Apology accepted? At number 7 is Leona Lewis, who refused to kiss Chase Crawford in her I Will Be music video. The actress says she wanted to be a loyal girlfriend, which is why she refused to kiss the Gossip Girl hottie during the video shoot. She said she didn't want her boyfriend to get too jealous. She hired the actor to play the love interest in her music video, but then refused to lock lips with him. You can imagine his confusion. During an interview, she explained, "I think my boyfriend would get jealous if I was kissing them, but I'd never do that. They wanted me and Chase to kiss in the I Will Be video, but I said no way." I mean, wow. You gotta have some respect for the loyalty like that. Sliding into the number 6 spot is Kimberly McCullough, who refused to kiss an older co-star who goes unnamed while filming General Hospital. This is probably why we need the Me Too movement to be in effect in the industry right now. The actress was expected to do an on-screen kiss with a 22-year-old when she was only 14 years old on General Hospital. The adult male goes unnamed because he was reportedly making sexual jokes about the scene he was going to film with. To make matters worse, the young actress wasn't told her co-star's age until the day of the shoot. The producer told Kimberly that she was required to do the kissing scene. Kimberly says she continued to complain and refused to do it, so eventually they just settled for a kiss on the cheek. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Sienna Miller, who refused to kiss James Franco while doing their indie film Camille. The two of them didn't have any personal beef, so she had no problem taking on the role as his new wife in the 2008 film. There was a major lack of PDA considering the movie is all about a pair of newlyweds, but it was that way for good reason. The actress didn't want to kiss James during filming because he's, kinda low-key creepy. It was actually because she was having a big problem with her teeth at the time. Turns out Sienna had a history of teeth issues, and while she was filming, she had to call an emergency dentist. So even if she wants to make out with James, she couldn't have. It was just too painful. Sweeping our number 4 spot is Kirk Cameron and any of his other co-stars really. The actor rose to fame because of his role on ABC's family show called Growing Pains. That's where he met his wife, Chelsea Noble, and he promised her that he would never kiss another woman. He is a committed husband and also a committed Christian, so he made this promise as a part of their marriage. Kirk admits it has had an effect on his acting career ever since then, but he's okay with it. In 2008, he starred in the movie Fireproof, where he had a kissing scene with the woman who was playing his wife. The directors decided to work around this issue, and they actually dressed up his real wife and then shot the kissing scene in a silhouette theme. Not every director would be as accommodating accommodating, but Kirk made a commitment to his wife and we can tell he is determined to keep his promise. Alright guys, at number 3 we have Janet Jackson, who refused to kiss Tupac in their movie Poetic Justice. The two of them were beyond adorable in the romantic drama, but apparently there was even more drama behind the scenes. Janet had restrictions to do love scenes with the rapper because of his reputation as a ladies' man. She went as far as insisting that he got an AIDS test beforehand. During that time, the disease was known to be spread through saliva, but apparently the rapper refused because he was completely insulted. In the end, Janet didn't even win the battle and she ended up kissing him for the scene anyway. But she has had no problem admitting now that for a while she refused until a blood test was put in place. So like, why'd you cave, girl? What made you change your mind? Here we are at number 2 with Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio, who both refused to kiss each other while filming Revolutionary Road. We've seen the two of them play a couple before, so why was it so different this time around? Their chemistry in Titanic was off the charts, but the couple refused to kiss while filming the 2008 movie. Turns out there was a good reason. The film's director, Sam Mendes, was Kate's husband at the time. The two of them did it out of respect for Kate's relationship. Fans felt robbed by the movie because they were excited to see the two of them reunite for another movie after all these years. Who wouldn't want to see Rose and Jack back together once again? But I also think it is totally rad that they respected her husband like that, so I kinda see it both ways. Taking the number 1 spot on our list is Neil McDonough and any of his co-stars. We have another actor who has committed to his wife that he won't ever kiss another woman, including a co-star. He takes the number 1 spot because he remained so true to his word that it led him to getting fired from a TV show. The actor is a married man with 3 children and he thought that taking parts in love scenes would clash with his Catholic views and his reputation as a family man. During an interview with Christian Examiner, he said, and I quote, "Killing people on screen, that's fake. That's not real. When you're in bed with another woman on screen, guess what? That's real. I don't like that kind of stuff. I don't want to have my kids say, hey dad, what are you doing with that lady on screen?" The actor has every right to stick to his beliefs, but that doesn't mean it won't affect his career, unfortunately. He was starring on the TV show called Scoundrels, but was let go because he refused to do any kind of intimate scenes. The reason the show fired him wasn't because of his beliefs, but producers say they sent him a script in advance and he was aware of the scenes but never said anything about it.